Now let's see about botanical garden. What is a botanical garden? We all know when we visit a tourist spot or a relatively important place, we can see a botanical garden present there. What is the usage of maintaining a botanical garden? Botanical garden, it is a place where the plants are collected from various groups and are known as for the scientific study. And this scientific study, it includes for the conservation, public education, aesthetics and recreation. So all these corresponds. For example, in Ooty or the Kodaikanal regions, you can see the botanical gardens are being given equal importance so as to maintain and preserve the plant species. What are the famous gardens of the world? The first thing is the main botanical garden of Moscow, and next Bundes Garden of Vienna, Royal Botanical Garden, Kew, London. This is the first botanical garden or the largest botanical garden in the world, that is the present in Kew, London. Next is Cabourn Raya Garden, Bogor at Java. Next is Arnold Arboretum at Boston, USA. And these botanical gardens are mainly for the preservation of plant or animal species, mainly the plants. Now let's see some botanical gardens in India. In India, Indian Botanical Garden is present in Kolkata, and Lloyd Botanical Garden is present in Darjeeling. National Botanical Garden is present in Lucknow, and there is a botanical garden in the garden of IARI, that is Indian Agricultural Research Institute at New Delhi, and there is a botanical garden in Garden of Forest Research Institute, Dehradun. These are the list of some botanical gardens in India. What is a herbarium? Herbarium, it is nothing but a collection of pressed, dried, preserved plants mounted on a paper sheet, properly labeled, systematically arranged and available for reference or study. So these herbarium are being maintaining the plant species to identify what it is and how it is collected. The first herbarium was set up in Pisa, Italy by Professor Luca Ghini, and there are major herbariums in India. Some of the herbarium in India are Central National Herbarium of Indian Botanical Garden belonging to Botanical Survey of India, Kolkata, and the second one is Madras Herbarium, which is present in Coimbatore. Next is Herbarium of Forest Research Institute, which is present in Dehradun, and there is a botanical garden specifically for NBRI, that is National Botanical Research Institute, which is present at Lucknow. Let's discuss some terms belonging to the classification pattern. What do you mean by a monograph? Monograph, it is nothing but a taxonomic aid giving comprehensive compilation of any one taxon. That is, it may be a family or a genus. Next, what is a flora? Flora is nothing but actual description of habitat and distribution of that habitat, and distribution of plants in a given area is called as flora. When two or more species occupying a same pattern or a same area, that is an overlapping area, it is called as a sympatric classification. Here we can understand that sympatric classification, it means overlapping or occupying the same area by two or more species. And when we see about the classification patterns, phylogenetic system of classification was being largely contributed by Hutchinson, and artificial system of classification was contributed by Bentham and Hooker. There are several books written by the famous scientists, and they have given the classification patterns in their books of the plants and animals. Linnaeus, he wrote the book called Systema Naturae, and Theophrastus, he wrote a book called Historia Plantarum. And these books, they have divided the plants and animal species into specific categories. What is the smallest organism present in the world? We can clearly say that they are the viruses. The viruses are the organisms which are infecting the bacteria, and these viruses do possess some critical categories for causing a disease, and most of us get the common cold. All these diseases are being caused by the viruses. The bacteria, when it is infected by a virus, the virus, it is also called as bacteriophage. Now this is the basic thing about the virus and the bacteriophage, and there have been a class, the virus, the specialty of virus is that it can have either RNA or DNA as a genetic material. And among these viruses, there was a separate class which was discovered by Diener. He discovered there is a class called Viriods. These Viriods are nothing but self-replicating free RNA which are devoid of nucleoprotein coat, and it can cause a plant disease. The beauty of this virus is that when a virus infects a plant, it can infect only a plant. When a virus infect an animal, it can only infect an animal. Till now, there has been no records like a plant virus can infect an animal. And there are classes of Mycoplasma. What is a Mycoplasma? Mycoplasma is nothing but it is a unculturable organism that is it cannot be grown in a lab, and there are examples, and it was discovered first by the scientists called Nocard and Roux. And these two scientists, they discovered this class called Mycoplasma, and this Mycoplasma is the smallest known prokaryote. This Mycoplasma, it can cause several diseases. For example, there is a class called Phytoplasma which causes disease in the coconut, and we can see all the coconut trees are standing beheaded because of this disease called Mycoplasma or Phytoplasma. Next, apart from Linnaeus, Whittaker is called to classify the 5 kingdom classification. The 5 kingdom, they are namely Monera, Protista, Plantae, Animalia and Fungi. And among these, the Monera, it classifies the bacteria and the cyanobacteria. Animalia, it classifies the animals. Plantae, it classifies the plants. Fungi, it classifies the unicellular or the multicellular fungi. And then the Protista, it classifies all the protozoans and other organisms. After Whittaker, he classified several things, and let's see about lichens. What is a lichen? Lichen, it is a combination between an algae and a fungi. The algae, it is called as the Phycobiont, and the fungi, it is called as the Mycobiont. These lichens are the indicators of the environmental pollution. When these lichens are more in number, we can say that the environment is safe. So we can see these lichens are present in the trees, barks, etc. We all know that bacteria, it has both beneficial aspects and non-beneficial aspects. As a coin has two sides, this bacteria, it can be harnessed for using it in a positive way, or it can cause a disease. We can see now the examples for some heterotrophic bacteria and some Archaea bacteria. What is a heterotrophic bacteria? Heterotrophic bacteria, it has been widely used for some biological purposes for the upliftment of some human use. For example, making curd from milk. When we convert the milk into a curd, it is being done by a bacteria called as lactobacillus. And for example, for antibiotics, we can use some fungi, some penicillin, streptomycin. All these antibiotics are derived from the bacteria and the fungi. And then for nitrogen fixation, the bacteria are being largely used. The atmospheric nitrogen, it is largely present, but it cannot be utilized by the soil. So these bacteria which are present in the leguminous plants, they fix the atmospheric nitrogen for the easy use of the plants. Apart from this, there are classes called Archaea bacteria. What is an Archaea bacteria? Archaea bacteria, it is the primitive form of bacteria. It is not an usual form. It is present in high altitudes or extreme environments like hydrothermal vents, volcano, and they are normally classified as surviving in extreme high temperatures. Here, they are used for biogas production. For example, biogas, we use the normal gas from the cattle. These cow dung, all these things are used for biogas production. And it is also useful for digestion in ruminants. Why the ruminant bacteria, it needs bacteria? The ruminant bacteria, it creates an environment so that when a cattle consumes all the inputs, and it can give out the oxygen. That is the nature of the cattle. So this ruminant bacteria, it helps in rumination. What is a diatom? Diatom, it has been called as the chief producers of ocean. Why it is called as a chief producer? Because it acts as a food particles for all the marine organisms. So it is called as a chief producer of the ocean. These diatoms, they are two thin overlapping cells, and the upper half it is called as epitheca, and the lower half it is called as hypotheca. And the diatom walls are embedded with silica, and they are indestructible. When we look up a diatom in a microscope, it looks like a colorful living organism, and they are also called as chief producers in the ocean. And when these diatoms and dinoflagellates are being more in the sea, it provides food for the marine organisms.